Right, so recording has now started. So, Catherine, I hope you, you don't end up being the only person joining us. But as a quick introduction, Catherine, hi. I know you know me, but I'm Bev. I'm the data protection lady. We have got about half a dozen people registered to attend, so I don't know if they're going to turn up later in the session, but it's only a short session, so we have to plough on. I want to introduce Jim Stevenson of the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre, fully decked out in his uniform today.
Yeah, I don't normally dress like this, ladies. It's only for special occasions.
Jim, can you just quickly introduce yourself, but also what the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre is? Because as I said earlier, until a few months ago, I'd never heard of it, and I'm in the field, so I'm sure there's a lot of other people who've not heard of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Beverly, no problem. So my name's Jim Stevenson, folks. I am a detective inspector with the Eastern Region Special Operations Unit, which is a 7 police force collaboration that covers the whole of East Anglia. But the bit of the URSU that I work for is called the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre. And what we are is we're effectively a crime prevention organisation designed to help small and medium businesses, schools and charities protect themselves from becoming victims of online fraud or online hacking. The centre itself is relatively new. It got set up originally in May 2021. It's part of a national project. It's one of 9 cyber resilience centres across the whole of England and Wales, each of us covering a region, so that we have outreach to small businesses in our area. And folks, I normally don't wear uniform for these things, but I'm at a B2B Expo in Norwich today with the Norfolk Chambers of Commerce. This lady here works, so they provided me with some space to hold this webinar while the business manager Sapphire mans our stand. And I wear this because it gets me over the whole, do the police really do this? The answer is yes, we do.
Jim, you said you had some slides to share. So
yeah.
Do you want to see if you can share them? If not, I've got some bits
that
we can talk about
right now. So, folks, hang on a second. That should be it. So if I'm going to share this screen and then I'm going to replace it with my PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay. No pressure doing it live. Yes, it's come up.
Can everyone see that?
Yes, but
brilliant. I just have to work out. So I'm going to skip some of them, ladies, because this presentation is designed to be delivered to over about an hour. I'm gonna stick to some of the key points. Okay. So, oh, sorry, Beverly. Can I just check? Can you see the notes as well, or can you just see the slides?
No, I can just see the slides.
Right, brilliant. Okay, so online cybercrime, folks. I know cybercrime. Often a lot of people get turned off by the phrase cybercrime, but almost all cybercrime is actually an attempt at fraud. It's the messages we get in our inbox, in our WhatsApp, by SMS, in our email that come across in our social media feed, and they're all basically fraudulent attempts to either get us to give us away our personal information or persuade us into clicking on something, what we think is a trustable document, and actually downloading some malicious software onto our device. The malicious software one is a lot more sophisticated. Most of the time, it's simply an attempt to scrape your personal data off you. And it usually does that by purporting to be somebody we would trust. I'm sure some people will have seen the DVLA scam, or the one where it claims to be from the TV licensing agency and it says your TV license debit hasn't been paid, or it claims to be from another large organization. The parking fine one seems very prevalent at the moment.
I got that one last week, literally a text.
But the most common one that everyone seems to see is the, "Hi mum, I've lost my phone. Can you WhatsApp me back at this number because I need some money to get home?" And millions of these messages get sent out daily, and they're like any other fraud. They're just there designed to panic us into giving away or doing something rashly that maybe we wouldn't have done if we'd taken 5 seconds, 5 minutes just to think about what we were being asked to do. And that makes up 95% of all cybercrime. It's these, often quite wide-ranging, low-level attempts to trick us into giving away our personal data. There are much more sophisticated versions, online criminal gangs, and these online criminal gangs, folks, are huge international businesses, effectively. Just they're committing crime as their business model. They will target businesses in other ways. They will impersonate their suppliers, their bank, their customers, and attempt to use that to get over this hurdle of trust so that they can then deceive the person they're communicating with into changing the bank details of a trusted supplier, so they're now paying the scammer, or again, harvesting personal information about us, especially if they can convince us to log on to a site that looks familiar and enter a password. And they'll use that to collect the password of our actual account. So, they might try and mimic a Facebook login page, or they might try and mimic, an online networking platform page or a social media page, and try and deceive us into handing over the password for that, which of course they will then use to hack our account.
I've certainly, in my experience, when I was working at my last charity, we'd see quite a plethora of the phishing emails, purporting to come from the CEO or the finance director and saying, can you log in and do this? Or trying to get that person to move the conversation over to WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, WhatsApp is obviously WhatsApp. Most of us use. If they could, they'd get us to use Telegram. And the reason they want us to use WhatsApp, folks, is because it's encrypted end to end. It then can't be intercepted. And if you manage to maintain that relationship, the person might never realize they're in a conversation with a scammer. But I suppose the key message here is, although the news stories we see are always about big online cyber scams or hacks, the Royal Mail one from 2022, 2023, the Metropolitan Police hack from earlier this year, the MOD hack, the National Blood Transfusion Service. Actually, those are kind of, they're the flagship products for these online criminal gangs. Like any other big enterprise, they have different departments that target just the rest of us as a whole. And this is actually about sweeping any of us into this bucket that they've created. So size is unimportant to the scammer. The vulnerability is what the scammer targets. And it doesn't matter if you're a small business with a turnover of a few £100,000 a year, or you're a multinational business with a huge turnover. They will target the people they can reach. And if if it turns out that your small business, if they can defraud you for £1,000 or £15,000, they will. They're not going to turn around and go, oh, this person hasn't got very much money. Trust me, if there's money there to steal, they will try and steal it. And if they can't get to your money, they will use your data and try and use that to impersonate you to target your customers or your suppliers.
Yes, I've seen that as well. Especially in the charity sector, where you're working with perhaps a lot of partner organisations, and you get something that looks like it comes from the partner, and you think, well, why am I receiving that? I don't work directly with them. You give them a call and they've been hacked.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's called a supply chain attack. Beverly, we see Microsoft, we get some stats from Microsoft in the UK. They're typically seeing about 150,000 of those attempts worldwide every single day.
Wow.
Impersonating supply chains, getting into the supply chain and then using that to target the customers or the suppliers of that company, purporting to be that company. Because as I mentioned before, it gets them over this hurdle of trust. So, we're now from looking at that and going, oh, no, that's spam, I can ignore that, to going, oh, no, that, I know John at cardboard box supply systems, I'm going to trust what that person is telling me.
Yeah.
So there are a few key. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I'll just say, in the sort of, we've only got another 20 minutes left, and I know you've got so much you want to try and get across to us.
So there's a couple of key messages here, folks. First of all, there's lots of free government help out there. If you're a small business, a school, or a charity, that includes up to employing like 250 people in your organization. There is a cyber resilience center in your area that can provide you with access to the free government help. The Eastern Cyber Resilience Center is the one I work for. If I could ask Beverly just to drop our web address in the chat at some point, or I'll do it in a minute.
I'll send it out to people.
www.ecrcenter.co.uk. We run a newsletter and a sort of monthly information scheme for any small business. It's free to join. We're not trying to sell you anything, folks. We just want to signpost you to the free government help and to the basic guidance that the National Cybersecurity Centre tell us that if we were all doing, it would raise the bar across the whole country for the scammers that are targeting us as a nation. The fraud cost to the UK economy, folks, last year was about £30 billion. Online crime, online fraud is going to account for half of all the recorded crime in the country this year, about half. It was about 47% last year. And to be honest, folks, so few people report online crime that we really have no accurate picture of the scale of the problem. And actually, there's three basic things that most of us could do which would drastically reduce our risk. And I'm going to go through what they are now. The first one is knowing what a good password looks like. So passwords are your front door lock. They are, you know, the engine immobilizer in your car. They're the tracking app on your phone. This is the most basic piece of cyber advice I can give to help you protect yourself. A good password is long rather than complicated. 18 characters is kind of a gold standard as a minimum, actually. And the National Cybersecurity Centre's kind of mental hack for how do I come up with a long password is to use this trick called 3 random words. So the example it gives here is I come up with something that's fairly memorable to me. The tree fell down, smashed the fence, and the dog escaped. So the first thing we do is pick 3 words out of that sentence. So we go with escaped, smashed, and tree. As you can see, that makes up the best part of about 18 characters. And then once we've got that, we capitalize some bits of it, maybe add some letters, sorry, some numbers. If you see there, they put 100 into the middle of it and an exclamation point. And those things make the password extremely long and therefore extremely difficult for a computer to guess.
Jim, can I just ask, because for ages we were being told not to write down your passwords. And whilst I personally do use passphrases in my head, but if I was doing that, so I had escaped 100, smashed, exclamation tree, I'd never remember what I'd used on what website.
Absolutely, lovely. So there are 2 bits of guidance the NCSC offers for those of us that are struggling in this field. And folks, I completely get it. Most people have to remember somewhere between 60 and 100 passwords. And not reusing passwords is one of the key bits of guidance I'm going to give you in a minute or 2. So how do we remember all that? So there's 2 solutions. One, use a little black book. If you're operating a small business and it's you and, you know, a couple of other colleagues and you share an office and there's, you know, you can share the little black book between you. Yes, keep the little black book locked in a drawer when you're not in the office, but there is absolutely no issue with using a little black book, so long as that little black book isn't in your laptop bag when you go out of the office. I've seen worse. So, you know, actually, I don't mind telling you folks, yes, I'll tell you what the other solution is in a minute. As the centre, we do use a piece of software called a password manager. I'll talk more about those in a minute. But actually, for my stuff at home, my personal life, I keep a little black book. The folks who would break into my house are not going to be interested in stealing my little black book. I've been a police officer, folks, now for nearly 23 years. I have never been to a burglary and someone told me that an item that was stolen was their password book. The people who will commit burglary and the people who commit cybercrime are very different people. So using a little black book is still on the NCSC's guidance. The other one is to use a password manager. A password manager is a piece of software in which will record your passwords for you, and you access that using a master password. If there was ever an opportunity, folks, to create a gold standard password, that is going to be the master password you use to log into a password manager. Some password managers are free. Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge come with one built into them, but there are ones that you can pay for. And quite frankly, folks, they're probably less than the subscription you might be paying to a social media platform, or actually you might be paying, you know, on a monthly basis to be a member of a local networking group or something like that. Password managers in the past, folks, have been compromised. So it is important to back that up with something called multi-factor authentication. But the NCSC do produce a guidance document on what a good password manager will contain, but they won't name any specific products. There are lots of them out there, though, and a bit of research about which password manager is best for your business. It's fine. Sometimes they come with the opportunity to share passwords between users. Normally that's on a corporate membership. But, you know, the password manager that we use professionally here costs us less than £20 a month, which I think is money well spent. And then actually, you don't even need to know the password then, folks. The password manager will generate an incredibly secure password for you. You just need to remember your master password. And in that case, even the password manager tells you to write down your master password so that you don't ever lose it or forget it, and make that as long and complicated as you like, as you can cope with, really. And that's another good method. The reason this is important, folks, is reusing passwords is what is catching us all out. You know, if an online criminal hacks into an organization, let's say for the sake of, you know, they managed to crack the password I use for the Police Federation website. I'm a member of the Police Federation. I have a login to my Police Federation account. If they crack that website and steal my password off that, if the password I used on that site was also my Facebook password, my Microsoft 365 password, the password for my bank account, they've now got access to everything. Not reusing passwords is the second key message there.
Right. That's I think that's really good, especially I do like these 3 random words. I mean, I've certainly got into the habit of using past phrases and just using the first letter and doing a bit of substitution, but I must admit, even then sometimes I think, oh, I've got to come up with a new one. So I think the idea of as a manager where you have that robust one to start with and then you've got them saved, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you find, I mean, the other day I went through my personal accounts and I changed all my passwords that had been flagged by my phone as being potentially insecure because they weren't long enough or strong enough. Most phones, folks, if you go into the security settings, it will see, you can see the passwords you've saved on your phone. The password manager on your phone is as good as any other. Just don't write them down in the Notes app or something like that. That's not secure. And, you know, but once I got into the stride, I mean, there were a lot on there, folks, initially. You know, I'd got a lifetime of building up some insecure passwords. So I went through and started working on them. You know, I changed 10 a day for a couple of days, and that got through all of them. But what I found was once I'd done a couple, I'd got into the habit of it, and then it was really easy to come up with them. And yeah, I don't remember them, but my phone knows them, and my phone won't release them without my thumbprint or my face. So again, if someone steals my phone, I'll remote wipe it, and they can't get into it without my thumbprint or my Face ID anyway.
Brilliant. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left, Jim.
Yes. So I'd like to cover one more point, Beverly, if that's okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk now, folks, very briefly about multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is the additional layer of security where after you've entered your password into an account, it then either asks you to use an app on your phone, or it sends a 6-digit code to a different communications medium, normally your mobile phone, but it might be a different email address, and you have to enter that additional authentication, that second two-factor authentication, two-step verification, into your login attempt to back up your password. We know this is really effective, folks, because when criminals crack people's accounts, if they haven't got the multi-factor authentication turned on, the criminal will turn it on to keep the legitimate user out. You know, this is the gold standard sort of security measure. This is not leaving your handbag on the front seat of your car when you nip in the shop. This is, you know, not leaving anything in view on the back seat of your car when you park in a car park. This is buying a Ring doorbell. This is the thing that really does protect you. Any account where you can use the multi-factor authentication, please do. First of all, it means that actually this whole stealing passwords and cracking passwords becomes really difficult for the scammer, because then they also need to know what your mobile phone number is and then attempt to clone your phone, because they need the app on your phone to complete the login. Or they need your thumbprint or your Face ID or something like that, which again is something only you have. Some sites, folks, used to use the whole security questions thing, but I'm afraid that's no longer particularly secure. Criminals have got really good at scraping information about us off social media. So things like our mother's maiden name, or the name of our pet, or our first car. I'm afraid most of us, folks, already inadvertently have given all that away online. So the use of a mobile phone, or the use of Face ID or thumbprint as an additional step of verification, is an excellent way of doubly securing all your accounts, with the added bonus in that you know if someone's attempting to unauthorizedly access your account, because you'll get the notification to say that someone's trying to log in as you.
That's really helpful. I've got a little list of things here that it's mainly a list of mitigating things like ransomware attacks. But you've ticked off quite a lot of my little list here. I was literally just going through it and ticking them off. One of the key things I see, though, over and over again is about cyber awareness training. And yeah. Do I recall seeing something on your website about games or gamification of training?
Yeah, so the centre does offer staff awareness training in a variety of forms. Some of the staff awareness training, the local police protect officers do free versions of that, but normally it's tailored to charitable organisations, but they will do it for small businesses as well. Staff awareness training, folks, is the kind of the basic standard where you educate your staff on the points I've just made to you now, but also, you know, they help you spot what a fraud looks like. They give you the kind of basic checking tools that allow you to go through an unexpected email and spot the obvious signs that this is a fraud, and encourage you to do the additional level of check. You know, if you get an email saying, "Hi, this is the chief financial officer, I need you to pay this bill urgently, and you know I'm in a meeting, please don't bother me," that arrives via email, that you have the confidence and the corporate, you know, responsibility in place in your organization that actually, you know, if it was really the CFO, they wouldn't mind if you texted them back and said, "Did you just send me an email asking me to change some details? I won't do it until you confirm." Because that is what the scammer is relying on. Lots of fraud relies on authority and mimicry, you know, to convince us not to do that due diligence check. So always verify any unexpected request.
Did I read something about a cyber escape room that the ECHR offer?
So we do have some escape rooms, some escape games. They're usually delivered in-person sessions, Beverly, with the help of our colleagues in Protect. The classic escape room was developed by the Metropolitan Police a few years back. It comes in a briefcase. There's a laptop in the briefcase. It takes about half an hour to play. For small organizations, if you're looking for a sort of fun way to gamify this learning and therefore get it to stick in everyone's imagination, we can arrange that. If you contact the ECRC, ask us to put you in touch with your local Protect officer. Just talk to us about staff awareness training, and the cyber escape room is a tool we can consider delivering. Normally not to groups of more than about 40 people. If you've got more than 4 people on a team, it's the kind of team aspect of it breaks down a bit, and the kits are quite bulky. It's a briefcase per kit. But I did some the other day with a construction company based in East Anglia for some of their new management trainees. Really interesting. It takes about half an hour to play, and if you can cope with policing puns, you'll really enjoy it.
Can I also pick up on something? Because I was talking to a charity the other day, and it's part of a broader defense mechanism when it comes to cyber threats. But they had never, ever had their website pen tested. And to me, that sort of sets an alarm bell off, because if the website's getting old, you don't know whether there's actual personal data in the code in the website itself.
Yeah.
So do you advise people on not recommending a product or service but the sort of about pen testing?
So penetration testing, folks, is a bespoke and kind of Rolls-Royce standard bit of cyber security testing. The centre doesn't engage in any penetration testing itself, and even the talent pipeline through the National Cyber Resilience Centre group that we support, CyberPath, they don't train their student interns to do pen testing either. But there are other things you can do. Websites can have a web app vulnerability test done on them, where it's not like a penetration test. That's not somebody trying to break into your house, but they will do like a sort of home defense survey where they look around the site and check that the software's up to date and the site itself is secure in the simple ways. I'm glad you brought that up, Beverly, because for the months of October, November and January, for any charity in the East region, if they sign on with the centre, I actually have some funds available to fund some basic website security testing that they can apply for through the centre, and I will pay for a CyberPath service where their site will receive a sort of website MOT once over to make sure that it's sort of up to standard in the key areas.
And I know you're in... Oh, sorry, Catherine.
No, I just thought it might be worth mentioning. It's quite a new service, but the National Cyber Security Council will now let you input your domain, and they will then provide a kind of a diagnostic and scanning report on how secure your website domain is. And then we took it to our IT providers and they put necessary things in place, but it will then it's not pen testing exactly to that extent, but it will kind of expose any vulnerabilities and help you kind of close them and take any actions you need to take to stop kind of that spoofing or people trying to impersonate you from that domain. And we found that really useful.
Yeah, that's a great service, Catherine. I'm really glad you mentioned it. So one of the things we do at the CRC is we will signpost people to all the free tools that you can get from the National Cyber Security Centre, and that web check service, which my colleagues at the NCSC, Catherine, will be really pleased that I tell them that someone's heard of it. Yeah, it's absolutely. They do a mail check one as well, where you can check the domain name that your emails come from. You can even check the domain names of key suppliers of yours to see if their mail domain is adequately protected, so you won't be getting spoof emails from them. There are some great free tools on there available from the National Cyber Security Centre, from the National Cyber Resilience Centre group, and from your local CRC, and you can signpost all that off our website.
Just before we were almost out of time, but a couple of very quickies, Jim. Can you just advise people, because you talked about being in the regions that the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre actually cover?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre covers East Anglia and Kent, folks. So that's if the counties of Norfolk, Suffolk, Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Hertfordshire, Essex and Kent. I'll have a nice map here, but if you're not in Eastern, there is a Cyber Resilience Centre that covers you. You can go onto the National Cyber Resilience Centre group's website, and there is a checker on there where you can put your postcode in, and it will signpost you to the regional CRC that will support you.
And one final point, you mentioned the CyberPath just now. Can you just advise people what that is and what benefits it can bring to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So CyberPath, folks, is a national talent pipeline aimed to get young people currently studying cybersecurity or computer science or related courses at universities into careers in cyber. There is a huge skills gap in the cybersecurity industry, and we are trying to help young people get the key sort of industry experience they need to put on their CV, as well as their professional qualification, in order to get them a job once they've finished. CyberPath is supported by the National Cyber Resilience Centre. It recruits students from universities across England and Wales. We vet them. We train them to deliver some key sort of introductory level technical and non-technical services, such as business continuity review, staff awareness training, or vulnerability assessments, both external and internal. And actually, we then pay the student, so the student can make some money working for the police delivering these services. And actually then we offer those services out at very competitive rates compared to perhaps things that might be available more commercially, but they're designed to be introductory level services. The whole idea is this is, if you're a small business and you don't know where to start, CyberPath is a great way of supporting a young person's studying to be a cybersecurity professional, knowing that you're getting a service that's been underwritten by the National Cyber Resilience Centre group, and getting a taste for what a good cybersecurity service from a professional organisation should look like, which will then help you if you decide you want to contract a commercial cybersecurity company to help you in the future. And again, you can look all that up from the National CRC Group's website. There's a whole section on there on CyberPath.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jim. Folks, we're out of time. Thank you for attending. Not sure what happened to everybody else, but you've had a, we've had a very small and lovely, perfectly shaped group. This video will go up on my website probably by tomorrow, so I'll be able to share it with people who didn't come. But if you want to then play it back to people in your organisations or pick up on the points that Jim's made, you can go back and find it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well, Beverly. It's been lovely to speak to you all. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to contact Beverly and she can pass them on to me and I'll get back to you.
Lovely. Thank you then, folks.
Cheers. Bye.